Peat moss, HydraFiber, and how to use HydraFiber. What is peat moss? Peat moss is produced through a natural process that takes place in peat bogs over thousands of years. Here's an overview of the process. 1. Formation of peat bogs. Peat moss forms in peat bogs, which are a type of wetland. These areas are typically saturated with water, creating a low-oxygen environment that slows down the decay of organic matter. 2. Accumulation of plant material. In these bogs, various plants, especially sphagnum moss, grow and die. Due to the waterlogged, low-oxygen conditions, the dead plant material does not fully decompose. 3. Slow decomposition. Over time, the partially decomposed plant material accumulates. This material is known as peat. The process is very slow, with peat accumulating at a rate of about 1 mm per year. 4. Formation of peat moss. Over thousands of years, layers of this partially decomposed material build up, eventually forming peat moss. The unique conditions of the bog environment preserve the plant material, leading to the formation of peat. 5. Harvesting. When peat moss is harvested for use in gardening or other purposes, it is typically dug or vacuumed out of the bog. The top layer of living sphagnum moss and other vegetation is removed, and then the underlying peat is extracted. 6. Processing. After extraction, the peat is dried and sometimes screened to remove impurities. It can then be packaged for sale as peat moss, which is prized for its ability to retain moisture and aerate soil. The entire process of peat moss formation and harvesting is natural, but it is important to note that peat bogs are delicate ecosystems. The extraction of peat moss can have environmental impacts, including habitat destruction and the release of stored carbon dioxide, contributing to climate change. As a result, there is increasing interest in sustainable harvesting practices and alternatives to peat moss in horticulture. What is HydraFiber? HydraFiber is a newer substrate that was developed using forest products which undergo a patented processing process that makes the substrate very resistant to compaction and very water absorbent. Peat moss, over time, tends to compact, and the addition of the HydraFiber substrate in a potting mix reduces the amount of compaction that occurs in the potting mix. This leads to a healthier root system. HydraFiber is approximately 98% porous fiber substrate with extremely low bulk density. It combines pressurized heat with wood and bark. It stands out due to its unique combination of high porosity, improved water retention, sustainability, reduced dust, ease of use, versatility, cost-effectiveness, and enhanced plant growth. HydraFiber is an alternative to peat moss and has an appearance similar to peat. 10% to up to 36.6% more available water to every plant due to its fiber surface area of up to 7 times greater than peat. Better air space and greater moisture availability lead to better root establishment and faster rooting. Delivers more efficient storage per cubic yard of material than peat, bark, perlite, coir or vermiculite. HydraFiber's tremendous surface area allows better water uptake. Water is held on the surface of the fiber and is more readily accessible when the plant needs it. The next slide shows my soilless potting mix recipe that utilizes HydraFiber. It makes 1 gallon. 1. Base mix. Mix 1 part of Jolly Gardener Proline HydraFiber C/20, which contains 60% peat moss, 15% perlite, and 25% HydraFiber, with 2.5 parts coarse perlite. 2. Additives. Marathon granules, a heaping teaspoon. Acts as a systemic pesticide. Worm castings, 2 teaspoons for slow-release fertilization and pest repellents. Feather meal, a teaspoon for slow-release nitrogen. Mycorrhizal fungi, 1/8 teaspoon to enhance nutrient and water absorption by plant roots. This recipe aims to provide a well-balanced, nutrient-rich environment for violets, improving soil structure, pest resistance, and nutrient uptake. To purchase these ingredients, you can visit the following vendors. Jolly Gardener Proline HydraFiber C/20, available at Glenda's House of Violets in 1 gallon size only. Also available at Custom Hydro Nutrients in 40 pounds, bales only. Alternative recipe. Jolly Gardener Proline HydraFiber C/20 is only sold in 40 pounds, compressed bales and shipping is more expensive than the product, so a more economical alternative is. Base mix. 1 part Glee potting soil, which contains 50% Canadian sphagnum peat moss and 50% HydraFiber, limestone, gypsum, a wetting agent, and fertilizer, and 2.5 parts coarse perlite. Additives. Use the same additives as the recipe above. Glee potting soil is available on Amazon. In conclusion, I am using this novel growing medium with my collection of African violets and other indoor plants, while maintaining the application of SUPR Thrive 795 liquid fertilizer as part of their care routine.